I don't think I thought specifically about the future when we started.
It was a group of friends getting together, and we thought, this will be fun. So we did it.
I thought then, I'm not sure why this is working, but it seems to be working.
And we just had a ball, and it just worked. Everything just clicked and came together.
She's got this force of nature that is never really going to leave her.
So the way everything started for Big Finish and for Benny was we wanted to do Doctor Who. Straight up, no, nothing secret about that. We saw these lovely people at the BBC and they looked at us in a kind of, who the hell do you think you are? And obviously they were not going to hand out a licence for anyone to do Doctor Who on audio. So slightly upset. No, slightly dishevelled and dismal. Jason and I walked away. And then I think a couple of weeks went by and I met up with Jason in London. And I said, look, I've got a really, really good way of spending all your money. I said, if we're not going to do Doctor Who, how do you fancy doing Bernice Summerfield on audio?
Virgin Books, who were running the Doctor Who books, wanted to replace Ace with a new companion. And so they got several of us to have a go. And we all sent in little descriptions and we all got to write a novel with our person in. And Bernice sort of won out.
My first experience of Bernice Summerfield was reading an article in Doctor Who magazine saying this will be the new Doctor Who companion. And I was like, will it hell? And then reading a book and going, I love her. And it's, you just love her. That's the thing. Paul Cornell has created a character. You go, I love her. And it's just like this instinctive resonance where immediately you encounter the aura of Bernice Summerfield. You just go, I love her. And it just continues. You just want to spend time with her.
If we can make this work, this could be the start of doing audio across the board. And I don't think we were even restricting ourselves particularly to science fiction. Jason, I know, wanted to do comedy on audio. And so I went to Virgin and I said, look, here's the deal. This is what we're thinking of doing. And they were like, that sounds a really good idea. You need to get Paul's permission.
I was too busy working on a TV show when Big Finish came to me and said, we want to put Bernice from the books into the audios. And so because I knew she was a great writer, I kind of pointed them at my girlfriend of the time, Jack Rayner.
And so Jack started doing these adaptations and we just had a ball and it just worked. Everything just clicked and came together. So we had to find a Benny. That was primary problem number one. But once we got Lisa aboard, everything fell into place.
Gentlemen, what a joy it is to see you. 25 years.
Yes.
Probably, although your association was before 25 years. And when did we first meet?
On the 18th of July, 2004.
He's good at statistics,
He's
this
very
boy.
good.
He's very
There's a
good.
big finish with it.
When I started, I literally thought it's going to last for 2 weeks. It's a bunch of fanboys in the front room with what was it, microphone?
It was a microphone gaffer taped to Nick's upright vacuum cleaner.
Yeah.
I remember the
And I was
audition
on BBC Drama Lab.
at Nick's house and explaining to Lisa who Benny was, and I think she'd obviously gone off and done a little bit of homework, but just explaining to her who Benny was, what we were looking for, what we were doing, and just having a back and forth with her over that, just in that one meeting.
I assumed, and this is a dreadful thing to say, I assumed that it was just being offered to me. And then about months later, it seemed to be, they said, can you come and audition? I thought, how very days. So how many people did you see for it?
Do you want me to lie, or do you want the honest truth?
1 million people.
I mean, I'll mention their names and you can work out later whether you want to cut them out. We auditioned Joe Castleton, who's an old friend of mine who I'd worked with a lot. We auditioned Bryony Pritchard, who is someone I'd worked a lot with round about that time. I'd worked with her on a sort of fan spin-off film called Auton, and I think she continued for the other spin-offs based on that. And I was very keen. I knew both of them very well and had worked very closely with them, and I was very keen on either of them getting the role. Lisa Bowerman came via, I think, Mike Tucker, who had a connection with Gary Russell. Mike Tucker used to do visual effects on the TV series, and I think he'd met Lisa during the filming of Survival, which was the final Sylvester McCoy story. And so they were very keen on Lisa, Gary and Jason, because she had a little bit of TV pedigree and had been in the TV series of Doctor Who, you know, albeit mostly dressed as a cat on a horse. So I suppose I was rooting for the others, but Lisa just gave the best audition.
Dear Diary, it's me again, Benny. Have you missed me? I've been so busy recently, you know, saving the world a few times, that sort of thing. But now the world is safe again.
When I first read the part, you're talking about what you recognise and what you don't in a character when you first see it. And there was an instant energy to her anyway as a character. And I think I'm quite, I'm not a very kind of laid back character, I think is fair to say. So in a sense, there was something I recognised in her, but it wasn't just that. There was a sensibility to her. There was a humour to her. I loved the humour in this. I mean, any actor would say that the opportunity just to play the comedy moments was gold, you know. So the opportunity to have a character that, even at that stage, in the few years that she'd been written within the novels, she was pretty fully formed. There was something in her that you liked. And I think to play a fallible, likeable, amusing character is almost a gift to an actor, because it just covers every gamut. And it's not just about, you know, being showy-offy as an actor because, I can do that and I can do that. It's just that you like the character.
Bernice is kind of me, in that she has the childhood I think I wanted to have. I wanted to escape my school and go and live in the woods outside it. And she has faked it until she made it. And this is all stuff that's kind of dear to me. I initially had the voice of Richard Curtis's character of Emma Thompson in The Tall Guy in my head, because that's a very reactive voice. That's a voice that points and pops people's balloons. And I had Sylvester McCoy's Doctor in my head, and I wanted somebody who would pop his balloon.
What appeals to a modern audience today, I think, is that she's a leading lady. I think Big Finish were way ahead of a lot of other franchises in that we had a leading lady. And again, it's down to Paul. Paul wrote her as a very, very strong leading lady. If you go through a lot of Paul's writing, he has very strong women in there. And I think we've been very lucky to have cast a very strong woman as well, who has brought so much out of it. So I think... Benny today resonates with younger audiences and older audiences because she is who she is. And that is a strong, passionate woman who will get things done.
It took a few books for people to get Benny, for other authors to understand her. There was a lot of her being mind-controlled and a lot of her being off-page. But then she started to appear more and more. And it's like she was author-proof. Like the ones that got it contributed, and the ones that didn't get it couldn't hurt her. And I thought then, I'm not sure why this is working, but it seems to be working.
You know, it's funny. I've had a lot of adventures over the years. Been to a lot of places, done a lot of things. Some you probably know about. Others you probably don't. But I don't think I've ever explained how it all started.
I do sometimes say, make sure you keep on using new writers, because I think introducing new talent is one of the features of the Bernice line.
I'd written a Benny short story for a Benny fanzine in 99. That whole fanzine thing came out of the fact that there was going to be Big Finish audio, so there was a kind of buzz about it amongst our little gang. So I was kind of pitching stuff. I actually had a Doctor Who story published first, edited by Jacqueline Rayner. And then off the back of that, I think Jack had said to Paul, you should maybe look at Simon. I think I'd probably pigeonholed Paul a bit and gone, can I write something? And he got me to write Life During Wartime, which was a Benny anthology.
It's wonderful to see the number of people she's brought through. People like Joe Lidster all the way to Torchwood. People like Scott Hancock all the way to Doctor Who production. It's this is delightful. This is the best thing. This is watching her give creative life to other people.
When I handed over Benny to you, I hadn't left. I was still at Big Finish.
So you took me on as a script editor. The range was behind and it needed to catch up. And there were a whole load of problematic scripts that needed dealing with.
Right.
And you commissioned the Lost Museum because it could just go straight into production.
Yep.
And I think we recorded it before my deadline for delivering it because I'd literally sent it over and you went, right, we're doing this next week.
That sounds about right.
But I turned up to the recording and people were referring to me as the producer of the Benny range.
Right.
And that was because you were going to Cardiff and had said, Simon can take it over. It's all set up. It's all whatever.
The lovely thing is that I can dip in if I want to, but I think I would be foolish to do so. Every now and then I will come back and do something special, like I wrote that piece of Bernice when she's very, very old. And Lisa performed the hell out of that. She did so well with that, and that was a great pleasure. And that was nothing but joy.
The reason why it survived is because it's good. And I know that sounds like a little bit of a pat answer, but if Benny hadn't kept on being good for so long, people would have just drifted away. And the reason why Benny hasn't stopped is because it's constantly good stories. It's about a central character that you automatically adore. The first moment you hear Lisa's performance, you just go, Benny is my best friend. She has her flaws, she has her faults, but you love her despite them. You never go, do you know what, I'm going to skip this one. I'm not going to go around to hers. I'm not going to see her. It's fine. She's just too much drama. You just go, I love her. I love the drama. I love the character. I love spending time with her. That's the thing. I love spending time with Bernice Summerfield. People who listen love spending time with Bernice Summerfield because the central character created by Paul Cornell is just so likeable. She's not smug. She knows stuff, but she's not smug. She's capable. She's not infuriatingly competent. She is somebody that you want to go on adventures with because you have a good time.
A whole new universe to explore, and you bring me to a car boot sale.
Professor Bernice Summerfield, and this is my assistant, the Doctor.
Assistant?
Yeah, I mean, and certainly I know that this is true for you, Jason, and maybe you want to speak about this a bit, but we've always been very certain that we want Bernice Summerfield to continue with Big Finish.
Yes.
Because great stories are being told by great creative people. And also we just owe Bernice Summerfield so much. There would be no current Big Finish the way it is without Bernice Summerfield. So we've always been really determined to find new ways for the stories to be told and new cast lineups to keep it fresh and to keep it going and to bring new interest to it. That's it's never been in our minds. It's time to move on. We don't want any more Bernice Summerfield. Never been in my mind. Always wanted to find ways of refreshing it.
I've said earlier that I've been very lucky with all the producers that I've had that have been able to maintain a continuity, but at the same time given it new life and not let it fester and, just use the same old things. And from my point of view, that has been an absolute blessing. Because otherwise we would have been bored as hell by now. But and I've said time and time again, it's the power of the original character.
Yeah. Well, I think the many hands have really been a reason this continues. The fact that it is a continuing work by lots of people, led by Lisa and the various producers down the years.
I think I was just going to say on that, I've worked on a number of things that are creator controlled or licensed, and Paul's generosity in letting us all play is remarkable, and I'm very grateful for that.
I'm very aware that her strength comes from the team. and to jealously grab it would be to ruin it.
I mean, it's interesting. I did have a look through the inside story last night. Before I went to bed, I thought, I must have a copy here somewhere. And I found it, and I flicked through, because I think, I've got to remember, okay. And I flicked through, and there's a beautiful picture in there of all of us on that first day of recording. And it's the first thing that Big Finish has ever done. And so many people in that picture, I go through and I go, I'm still friends with all these people.
Yes, exactly.
And that is really important, because it was a bunch of friends getting together to have fun.
The reason that Bernice Summerfield has lasted as long as it has, or as long as she has, is because the people involved in it are creatives. Doctor Who, because let's not pretend it's not, it's spun out of Doctor Who. Doctor Who has always been, I think, a breeding ground generally in fans for creatives. I always used to say Star Trek, people who grew up with Star Trek became engineers and doctors and technicians. And Doctor Who created in the sort of 70s and 80s for the 90s and beyond a whole generation of people who wanted to work in television, and they wanted to be writers and directors and actors and everything. And if you talk to them and you say, what made you in the first place want to do this? They'll all say Doctor Who. They all grew up with Doctor Who, the first generation that grew up with television as an art form. And we're just very lucky that we've been in a position to find that next generation and bring them in. And I think that's why these things last as long as they last, because you keep refreshing it with new talent and new blood and new excitement.
I think there's something about Bernice that reflects the gang show of her creation, and people listening to her think, I could do that. And actually, yes, they can.
Yeah. And you see it all over the internet. You see it on Instagram, you see it on Facebook and Twitter. People taking their love of Bernice and being creative with it. And you look at them and go, yeah, in another 5 years, you're going to be working for Big Finish.
It's people who buy Bernice Summerfield who we have to be grateful for. And we use the word fans, and Bernice Summerfield has fans, and she has a lot of very dedicated, committed fans. They write their own fan fiction about Bernice Summerfield. And over the years, various people have made badges and things like that. There have been so many styles of Bernice over the years, from the Bay City Roller, Lee Sullivan, to the Jack Rayner to Adrian Salmon's fantastic illustrations, and then me dressed as various guises, whatever Alex Mandelson could get out of the dressing up box, and Lee in his Bay City Roller, and your safari suit, which I have to say, look, it has been immortalised in crochet.
Amazing.
Isn't that fantastic?
How brilliant is that?
I mean, I'm sorry, but this is fantastic. You just don't, especially for, there we go, let's sit her up there. You don't expect for an audio series, admittedly, she has appeared in various guises, to be so well beloved. And then this is another...
And that's the thing, Benny keeps moving on. She's a character who can move on. She's not one of those people who... The fatal flaw of Hercule Poirot was that he was always like, yes, next year I will retire and start growing my vegetable marrows. Bernice Summerfield will never retire and grow vegetable marrows.
There is no end game. It would be wrong to kill this character off.
Bernice Summerfield is the longest running science fiction series with a female lead in the world. The actual truth, it's the longest running series with a female lead in the world. Wow. But how long? How long can they get away with this? And we're all still here. It's the crime of the century. It's actually a crime that spans 2 centuries now. Well done, Big Finish.
Bernice, in the end, is about hope. It's about a cynical person discovering that the universe still continually offers her hope. And I think that to end that would be the wrong thing.
That is the joy of her. She's always going to be going on an adventure. As the song says, adventure is my name. Have you had stuff about the song? What? The theme song?
Venture is my name, venture is my game. I wanna play it with you. Venture is my name, venture is my game. I wanna play it with you.
Adventure is my name. Adventure is my name. I want to be with you.
Well, Benny's got a massive future ahead of her. There's so many new stories to tell, and I don't think we'll ever get bored of telling the stories of Professor Bernice Summerfield.
Somebody is doing their job right somewhere along the line, and she's still at it. It's amazing.